Coming up after the Amazon event, we're back into the inbox for Friday.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Yeah, after the wondrous thing that was the Amazon event, of course, great to have Michael and David with us yesterday. Today, I thought we'd dive back into the inbox because, look, we get so many emails, so many messages, and I thought let's just focus in today once again, because do you know what? I love doing these. These are my favorite shows of all. I could just do this every day. Can we just do this every day? Because this is better.
Well, we get enough emails to do this every day. We've got to say, we're still sort of behind, but we're making a dent in the mountain of feedback. Thank you so much, by the way.
Yeah, and listen, keep it coming. Let's get into it, though.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Every day.
Here's your mail today.
Binky, bonky, binky, bonky, binky, bonky.
No music in the background, please.
Oh, yeah,
Carry on.
kill that.
Please, please,
No,
never.
No,
ever,
I'm not killing it. I'm going to play it loud and proud.
Oh,
But upset the neighbours.
the drum and bass version.
That's right. Yeah. Alison's been in touch. Listen to this.
Hey guys, Allison Malloy in Ohio again. I just finished Cassandra on Netflix.
Yay.
Holy crap. That was terrifying. It was really good though. I loved it. I like those limited series because they're longer than a movie. If you really believe in yourself, you can get through it in an evening if you're not much for sleep. And I really enjoyed it. A couple of things I did notice, though. Did anyone else notice that the audio description was a TTS voice? It was a very good TTS voice, but it was not a human narrating the audio description. The English dubbing, I thought, sounded okay in the mix, but you could tell if you listened very carefully to the syntax of some of the sentences, you're like, that's not how a native English speaker would speak it. And then there were just the random like songs and things that were in German that kind of took you out of it a little bit. But overall, a really, really good show. And I look forward to more recommendations from you both, Stephen and Shaun. Hope you're having a great start to your week. It's Monday now as I'm recording this.
Thank you, Alison. Glad you enjoyed it. 0 Day, that's the one you want next. 0 Day. And I'm hoping this is a worldwide release, but on Amazon Prime Video, there's going to be a new show coming up called Fear, set in my hometown of Glasgow. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be good. Amazon's first Scottish show, I think. That's their first one.
The first Scottish play. Can I just say, what's going on with Prime Video at the minute? I can't figure it out. You swipe through and it says, I don't know, films or, recommendations, things you would like, but there's nothing underneath it. You can't double tap on it to expand it. It's so confusing. But I'm glad.
That app.
Yeah, well, it needs it. I'm glad Alison enjoyed Cassandra though, and I want to know, did you know it was TTS-AD?
I didn't pick up on it. I think, if I'm honest, my wife and I were so fixed on the dubbing into English. And then, of course, like you say, just these weird eccentricities of the music coming in, which was German music and song, Guten Morgen, and all this. I mean, it was so bizarre. It was so funny, but and it wasn't meant to be funny, but it was just kind of just in the mix.
It was kind of weird. Frightening, apparently. so good. I still haven't watched it, but isn't this a great example of, does it matter? Because you didn't notice and you were more, would we have had this if it wasn't for the dubbing and the TTS-AD?
Well, yeah, I wonder if the original audio description was spoken and perhaps everything that followed it was TTS.
And look, it was just run
through. Do you know what?
Yeah.
My take is that if I had the choice of TTS or human, I'd always choose human, but if it meant I didn't get the show in the language I want to listen to in my case, English, obviously, then I'd say, do you know what? Let's go with TTS. Because that's one of the benefits of TTS is that you get the language that you want. And I will say this, I didn't pick up on it. I would say, the one thing I would say, I think whenever I've noticed a TTS voice or I've thought it's a TTS voice, never 100% sure these days, but if I think it is, you can often tell because it feels downbeat. there's never a kind of uptone that comes with it. It's always quite a downbeat voice.
It's funny you say that. Sometimes I think it's the opposite. I think it may be too upbeat, the inflection at the end. Maybe it just seems artificial. So, yeah, it's funny.
If you get a sense of that, there's a cadence of that, where it's like a continual, every single sentence is the same all the way through.
Yes.
It's like every inflection is the same at the end. Then
That's
that
eloquence.
gives it away. Yeah, exactly. That's right. It gives you exactly that sense of it. But it's getting better now. It is getting better, and it is getting more tricky to tell the difference. Like you say, though, does it really matter? I wasn't losing anything. I mean, I enjoyed that show as much as I would have wanted to enjoy it. So
cool. Okay. Yeah. Arguably, you could mention that it actually fits in line with the tone of the show anyway.
Kind of did, yeah.
Of technology, and sort of, okay, that makes sense.
But you have to watch, as Alison will know, you have to watch the show to kind of understand what we're talking about here, because it's not as clear cut. So you have to watch the whole thing, because there's a whole thing here. But it is so good, honestly.
I'm going to watch that over the weekend.
It was good, and if you don't like it, then tough.
All right. Thank you, Stephen Scott, movie reviewer.
You don't like it, go watch something else. It's not like you've only got about 850 million things on there to go and choose from, so I'm sure you'll find something.
How many are AD'd? But anyway, moving on.
5 of them. I don't know.
Okay.
I will say, though, Netflix are pretty good at this. They're pretty good at bringing on the AD, and I really do respect the fact they brought on AD in English. I would say the Squid Game effect, essentially. Bringing in AD, but also bringing in the dubbed versions as well. I love to see that. And I think it's important we say this out loud, because, I want these companies to hear this so that they know that they're onto something here, right? That this is working for people. I imagine a lot of these companies only ever hear from us when we complain. And that's not great either. It's like I was saying the other day about one true opinion things. Yeah, okay, you don't always have to agree with everything. But equally, if you're going to complain, try every so often just to praise as well, because they will notice that. And there's a lot of people working behind the scenes doing great stuff that are trying to make this work, and they don't know. I've spoken to a lot of audio describers over the years who say, we do this thing, we've no idea if people even use it. No idea. No one tells us.
Yes, I've heard the same. Yeah, that must be kind of frustrating, not knowing how valuable your work is. But again, I would argue, the TTS devalues the human audio describer's work as well. I would argue that, hey, now listen to it with human audio description, and you see the difference. You see the value. You see what you're paying for.
I get it, and I understand that, and I've said to audio describers, and it's hard to say this to them. It really is, especially to their face, but I've said it. Look, you know what? I just want description. It's like audiobooks. I want the book to be read and available in audio.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of books, we've talked about this before, books that have come out and they're not available in audio, right? At all. And if in the UK, for example, we've had these volunteer-led libraries for a long time. So you had volunteers reading the books. With respect to those volunteers, there's a lot of that stuff I just can't listen to.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And, if you can give me a high-quality text-to-speech voice, which still allows me access to that content, but gives me the sense of actually listening to this book as if it was properly read, and it costs less money to make, and that book would never have been made in audio anyway, I'll take it. That's it. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's kind of a cold, hard truth. I think a lot of people think the same.
I mean, I understand it's your job. I understand it's your job and it's your livelihood we're talking about here, and I am not thinking about this lightly, but we've got to think about access. If a company decides, look, we're not doing this anymore, and the option is we can either do it with TTS or, we're not paying anybody to do it, I'd rather have something do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know that sounds a bit cold, but that's the reality of it, right? We need access. We want this. We want these options available to us.
It does sound cold, but it is a reality. But at the same time, when, the AI takes over double tap,
we'll be dead. Who cares? Honestly, do you think anybody will care by that point? I mean, if you think AI can do this as badly as we do, then good luck to it. I say bring it on.
It's the quality that matters. Yes.
Right, 11 Labs, have a go at this. Notebook LLM. Go and have a shot at this. You try and make this nonsense occur every day. I don't think you'd be able to manage that.
Thank you, Alison.
As I said to you before, there it's artificial intelligence they're developing,
Yes.
not artificial stupidity.
Yes. AI, artificial
the ass
idiocy.
is fine. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to Shaun, not you, but a different Shaun.
Me?
Yeah, no, not you.
Hello, Stephen. Hello, Shaun, I think it is. My name is also Shaun, S-H-A-U-N. And
Correct.
I was just listening to your WeWalk podcast, the most recent one. That was great. Good job to all of you. To both of you, excuse me. I actually was curious. Have you found this out? Are you able to use the WeWalk cane in your left hand? Because I was at CSUN, this past CSUN, and I started using the WeWalk cane too in my left hand, and they said actually, if you're going to use it that way, use it in your right hand. Because what I do is I use my cane and the flat part, I have my wrist twisted to the left, so the flat part's facing to the left side. That makes sense. So it's interesting because it sounds like there might be cameras on the cane to detect the little detectors or something. So you might not be able to use the WeWalk 2 the way you were traditionally or originally used to using it. I don't know. I'm curious on your guys' thoughts on that. Thanks for any input and feedback. Bye.
Okay, so my knowledge of the WeWalk cane is that it's just like any other cane in terms of the way you would use it. I don't think there's a restriction on how you use it or what hand you would use it in, to my knowledge. And certainly any sensors you're using, they won't be covered up by using it in your left hand, would they?
Well, it depends on the position of, so there are proximity sensors, a sonar sensor to tell you when there's an obstacle in your way. Now, if that's located in a particular, orientation, like at the flat side of the handle or further down the cane, then if you're holding it in a different way, then that sensor is going to be facing to the left or to the right and not in front of you. So that would have an impact. I don't think it would matter left or right-handed, but as to how you hold the cane, I think it would matter. But honestly, I don't know. I haven't got hands-on with this yet.
No, that's not something I've even considered. But we'll check in with the WeWalk guys and we'll figure that one out. I would love to hear their thoughts on this. Okay, interesting question. Thank you for that, Shaun. The other Shaun, as we'll now call you.
Spelt the correct way, by the way. S-H-A-U-N. Well done.
You know who we haven't heard from in a while?
Who?
Negative Julian.
Uh-oh.
Hello, guys. Negative Julian here yet again. And I'm afraid it's another rant. On this occasion, it's because I've been listening to some of your back podcasts recently. And in one of them, you were talking about blindness signalling, carrying a white cane and all this sort of thing. And I agreed with an awful lot of what you said about the white cane and so on. But during the course of the discussion, Shaun gave a practical example of something that had happened to him. And in the preamble to that, he said that he was carrying all the normal kit, a white cane, sunglasses and so on. And that brought me up short because I cannot for the life of me understand why you think that wearing sunglasses indicates to the sighted world that you have a vision problem. I'm sorry, it doesn't. In fact, I would go so far as to say it does exactly the opposite. I think I've told you before that for the first 55 years of my life, I had normal vision. Everybody I knew had normal vision. I don't think it was until I actually lost my own sight that I even met another person who had any sort of severe sight problem. And I'll tell you flat, on the basis of the first 55 years of my life experience, that a sighted person seeing somebody wearing sunglasses and no other indicator would assume that that person can see perfectly well. Of course they do. The normal state of affairs for the overwhelming majority of people who wear sunglasses is that they can see through them. They're wearing them because the sun is bright or because they think they look cool or both. Sure, if they've got weird-looking frames and big, thick, weird-looking lenses, and if the sighted person is paying attention, big if, but if they are, then they might assume that the person in front of them has some sort of severe sight problem. But that's not what we're talking about, is it? Time and time again, the two of you have said that what you want is fashionable, normal-looking sunglasses. And that's fair enough. I've no problem with that. By all means, good, excellent. But do not go around saying and telling other people that this indicates to the world that you have a vision problem, that it's part of some sort of blindness uniform, because it really, really isn't. And it could get you in an awful lot of trouble if you go about sending the wrong signals. If you're in a shop and you accidentally push into the queue ahead of your place and you're not sending the right signals to those around you that you're sight impaired, they are going to assume that you're just plain rude or that you just don't care less, and that's going to get you in trouble. If you're in the street and you're about to step in the road and there's an electric vehicle coming down that road at speed, the sighted person is going to wait just that wee bit longer before they shout a warning, because you're wearing normal-looking sunglasses, and to the sighted person, somebody who's wearing normal sunglasses can see through them. That's the way the human brain works. The brain works by what is normal. And normally somebody wearing sunglasses can see through them. So you could end up in a heap of trouble. I'm not saying this because I want to upset people, because I want to wind people up. I'm certainly not saying it because I want to live up to my name of Negative Julian. I'm saying it because it really concerns me that you seem to believe this thing and you're actually telling other people, even if you don't set out to tell people this. In the course of your discussions, you are saying it. And that bothers me, and I think you need to have a little think about it, guys. So for now, anyway, rant over. Bye from Negative Julian.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's
Stephen,
got you riled up.
I think you should go away and have a little bit of a think about what you've done.
I didn't do anything. You said it. You said
I did.
you had your blind uniform on. Explain yourself, Shaun Preece.
I am going to. You know what? I am going to do. And for once, I both agree, but also disagree with Julian here.
Okay.
Because you're absolutely right. Sunglasses on their own do not signify a visual impairment. Not at all whatsoever. But you used the word yourself. What I mentioned was I was wearing the usual kit, or I was carrying the usual kit, which is a white stick. I had sunglasses on. I had the earphone in one ear, or whatever it may be. And look, I'm sorry. You're right that sunglasses are not a symbol of anything on their own. But again, it's all down to context. And in this case, if you're using sunglasses with a white stick, that is a blind uniform. That is the stereotypical uniform of someone who is blind. And that is in the mainstream. So, of course, one of those, even the white stick, which I would argue is the symbol that is most widely recognized as a symbol of, a visual disability, or the guide dog. I was stood outside a shop just last week, just stood there waiting for someone. The white stick, long, white stick extended, but not walking, not using it in any way. And someone asked me if I was there to clean the drains. They thought it was some sort of drain cleaning rod. It's all about the context. And look, I agree with you. But I'm definitely not saying that. And I honestly don't believe that anyone listening would believe that, hey, put on a pair of sunglasses and everyone will know you're blind. I don't believe that. It's, of course, look, I went out this morning at 6:00. It was still dark, taking the dog out, wearing my sunglasses because I like to listen to Voice Vista. I also listen to some music. They are there purely for me. I don't use them as a symbol. But to say that the blind uniform doesn't exist in the psyche of the mainstream as a white stick and sunglasses, I think it does.
Oh, no, it really does. It really does. And, it comes across in so many different ways. There's a trend at the minute on, I guess, TikTok and Instagram. I've seen this a couple of times over the years, and I've had people alert me to it as well, where, because there's a concern about this, that people are going around putting on the sunglasses. They are taking a white cane and they're struggling at the top of an escalator. And they're sort of seeing how long it takes for a member of the public to assist them. And, on the fifth or sixth person who's, watched this person or ignored this person or whatever else, and then someone comes up and says, hey, let me help you out. the person takes the sunglasses off, looks at the camera that's over the road and says, hey, you're on camera, you did a great thing, you're a wonderful
Social
person.
Experiments, yeah.
And frankly, I think that's disgusting that even goes on. That's not the way to win favor. I mean, that could immediately create a whole new world of, is that person faking it for an Instagram video? I mean,
yeah, I don't want to end up on TikTok. Yeah. I don't know.
But the point is, the part of that is true is the stereotype that comes with it, right? And stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason, whether you like them or not. People assume that sunglasses and a white cane equals blindness. They just do. Now, you're absolutely right, Julian, and I think the bit you've missed is the white cane part. Because, you're right. If I walk around without a cane and I'm wearing sunglasses, then you're absolutely right. Why would anyone think I'm low vision? And if you're walking around indoors, like a certain Elon Musk does, people just think you're something else, which usually begins with, well...
Stop it.
Yeah,
yes.
I was going to say the letter A. Let's go just leave it at that.
Please do.
It's a family show. But, look, the bottom line is, I get where you're coming from, but I think you're missing the point. And also, this is a widely heard stereotype. You may not have heard about it, but I guarantee you it is. And there was a famous story of, do you ever remember the pilot, the story of the pilot who it was a photograph from years ago, and it was a pilot on a plane, and there was a woman who had got on the plane early. She'd been brought onto the plane early with her guide dog. And the pilot said, it was a really warm day, and he said, look, why don't I take the dog off the plane for a minute or two, let the dog have a wander about outside where it's a little bit more breezy.
I know where this is going, yes.
So he gets to the bottom of the steps. He's standing there with a pair of sunglasses on. There's a guide dog, and as the people are walking towards the plane, they're all freaking out because they think the pilot's blind. Now, is that because of the guide dog? And by your assertion, Negative Julian, they would say, but he can't be blind because he's wearing sunglasses. But they absolutely did not think that. They all thought the exact opposite, and that's become quite a famous story over the years. And there's been many, many examples since. People like Stevie Wonder wear sunglasses. Lots of people do. So that may be where it starts from. I don't know, but the bottom line is, it is a thing. It genuinely is a thing.
Sunglasses are for us. They are, as I mentioned, they're not a symbol. They are not a signal, which a cane is. When I first started to struggle, I picked up the symbol cane because of exactly that. That's what it's for, the ID cane, whatever you want to call it. So people would know, hey, when I say I can't see or I've got bad eyes because I couldn't use the word blind, they know because the symbol of the symbol cane reinforces that. The sunglasses are because, hey, I want to, use whatever it may be my eyes with the Ray-Bans or whatever it may be, or the sun is hurting my eyes. They are for me.
Yeah, no, that's right.
So anyway,
but they are also part of the uniform. There's no way around it. And it's not a uniform in the sense of it's something we go out wearing. It just has become a stereotypical uniform.
It is. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Negative Julian.
Hope that's cleared that up for you, Julian. Hope that cheers you up. Please go chill out. Go relax.
No, don't. Send us another voicemail. I love them. No, honestly, I do. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to Amy, who's been in touch with us. I was asking listeners a while back about organizing my phone. I was setting up the iPhone 16 Pro, and I wondered how you guys were laying out all the various apps and icons on your phone. Here's Amy.
Hi, Shaun and Stephen. In a recent episode, you discussed the challenge of keeping apps organized on the iPhone to make it easier to find the ones you want. I get around this by using Siri to open apps. Then it doesn't matter which screen or folder it's in. Amy from Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's a good point, Amy. I appreciate that. And that's a good idea, except the Siri part. If I could get Google Gemini to open my apps.
Wait, that was the main part of
I know,
but
everything's brilliant about what Amy's just said, and I 100% agree with you, except the bit where you're using Siri, because it is dreadful.
Currently, yes. I'm
currently?
You mean
currently?
It's never ever
been good. It's been dreadful forever.
Wait for 18.4. It's going to be hugely improved.
Can't wait.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would say this, and I don't know if this is still the case. Do you need an internet connection?
What, to run Siri?
To run Siri to open an onboard on-device app?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I suppose you're never offline these days, so you wouldn't know. But
I'm just saying that could be a possible limitation if there was a time where you didn't have a data connection. But it could be processed on device now. Honestly, I haven't tried that. Because as you said,
using your phone on the moon or something. Well, what's going on?
There's times where you need to be in airplane mode. There is times, believe it or not, Stephen Scott, where you do not get a signal. I mean, you live out in the sticks. You must know this.
I do not have an issue with signal. I have no issue at all with signel. And I'm connected to Wi-Fi in a house.
Oh, okay. Well, if you ever leave the house now and again...
Don't leave the house. What are you talking about? That's your first mistake, you see. You're trying to stop leaving the house.
Amy, you're absolutely right. A lot of people do use it that way. But I don't know. Maybe it's my age. I just like good housekeeping on my phone. I like to have them all organized. OCD or just back to the days of DOS and making your own folders. I don't know.
Surely if it was OCD, it'd be DC, or hang on, it was CDO, wouldn't it?
Why?
You've got to get in the right order. See? Yeah, I'm going there.
Oh, no, that's very good. Okay, well done. Move on.
Is that right?
No.
I will say handwriting is also quite good as well. That's a feature that no one really talks about anymore, but it's still there.
We forgot it's there. That's why.
Handwriting is quite good. But of course, that assumes that you know how to write something. Which I seem to be failing at miserably.
That's a good point.
I haven't written anything for a long, long time. And, it's funny, every year, my wife and I will write the customary Christmas card to each other, which we kind of do grudgingly to each other because neither of the two of us really care. And we do it and we just say, oh, there we go. And you sign it.
Don't do it then.
I know, but we do it because we feel we should. And so we do.
Think of the trees.
Oh, whatever. And then we get the card and I write on it. And I think she's never going to be able to read this. She's just not going to read this utter scroll, this rubbish that I've written on this.
Yes.
Probably half the letters are written on top of each other, It's just, but she says that's nice. So
if you go through the history of our Christmas cards or birthday cards to each other, in me and mine and Sarah's relationship, you'll see the sight loss as it moves from a normal pen to a black marker and then just to scrolls. Oh, that's very sad, actually. Oh, move on.
Squashed spider, whatever it is.
Dear.
Okay, Brian's been in touch on the, various things, but in particular on File Explorer.
Fellas, I do like the new way you start the show, and today's had me laughing. I started the podcast to hear I have coffee and a big inbox, which led me to the following thought. Well, I wonder if there's medication for that.
Oof.
Thoughts on File Explorer. Use F6 to move between Windows panes in this app, as you'll need to use this a lot less than Tab. For most, using F6 cycles through the following panes on a Windows 11 machine: status bar, tab control, tree view, item view, list, and names split button, which I'll talk about in a second. That's just 5 presses to do the entire Windows cycle, rather than 20 or so tabs to do the same. First off, though, always remember to hit Enter in tree view on the folder you want to view in the item view. Hitting Enter will load the contents of the folder in tree view into the item view. The focus, especially for JAWS, will sometimes get caught on the names split button, which is a way to filter results in the item view if you have tons of them. If you get caught on the name split button, just shift tab back to the tree view, then tab forward to item view. Or just use F6. Another great show, Brian Clark.
Yeah, I mean, great advice. Yeah, F6 is your friend.
Does that clear it up for you, Stephen Scott? You seem to have some sort of problem with File Explorer.
I do. And it's exactly the problem Brian just said, which is I'm stuck in this name split thing. And I've got to shift tab, and then I've got to tab again. So I can just get back to the list view. Why is this rubbish?
Well, okay, of course. Finder on the Mac is so much more easier and less confusing.
No
isn't
hassle
Column
at all.
view, list view, what do we have it in? Where am I now? Have I got interact in
here?
Do
you know what you can do? You know what you can do on a Mac you can't do on a PC? You can define a default for the view across the entire system. So I can say, right, I want to have list view and I want these particular categories to show up every single time. And that is the default across the board. Do that on a PC? Good luck.
You can do that on a PC, but you've got to do it about 50 times on each
that's not a default. That's not default.
I'll give you that one. But yes, thank you, Brian. That's absolutely true. F6 is your friend. I will say this, though. Why F6? I find it really awkward to use F6. It needs to be control and something else, I say. Maybe you could reassign it. But yeah, you make a fantastic point that, 20 tabs to get to the, let's say, list view rather than 5 F6s. it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you for that, Brian. Let's move on and let's hear about smart glasses.
Hello, Double Tappers. In the episodes, you often talk about the rise of smart glasses and the possibilities they could offer for people with visual impairments. The most well-known example is the Meta glasses. However, Samsung is also said to be working on a smart pair of glasses, possibly to be presented on January 21st at their Galaxy event. Additionally, the podcast has already mentioned the Solos Ergo Vision. With CES recently taking place, there are naturally other players entering this market. I found the LookTech AI glasses on Kickstarter, but the most interesting example I came across was the Lumos smart glasses, which should also be launching on Kickstarter starting January 21st. They emphasize long battery life, a good camera, and ChatGPT integration. Naturally, many of these glasses use ChatGPT or Gemini. Often there's also a subscription fee involved. Personally, I find this excessive since I already have a ChatGPT subscription. I think it's crazy to have to pay another subscription specifically for using ChatGPT in glasses. It's a market that is clearly evolving. Time will tell which glasses best meet the needs of people with visual impairments. I'm looking forward to the comparisons between different models. For now, I'm happy with the Meta glasses I recently acquired. They give me a sense of what's possible and how I can use them in daily life. My main criticisms of the Meta glasses are the Meta AI descriptions are not as good and detailed as those of Be My AI. The support for foreign languages is limited, for example, no Dutch support. The battery life is limited. I would love to wear the glasses all day long and have them constantly on, but this is not possible with the Meta glasses. I'll leave it at that for now. Good luck, and I'm enjoying your show. Best regards, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that. And I must admit that the market is beginning to get flooded with these. Some of them are coming, some of them are coming soon, some of them are out. As you say, Samsung, you of course referenced that event that was coming up on and did come along on January 21st. But we didn't see the glasses. We did hear the word glass being referenced. Yeah. They did talk about it, but they didn't show anything
They
yet.
weren't ready.
No. Still in the lab.
You mentioned so many there, and you're absolutely right. I kind of agree with you when it comes to subscription. If you're paying solely for the access to the AI, but you already are paying for that on another service, why should you pay again? You're absolutely right. I suppose API keys could be swapped around and done that way, but it gets a little bit complicated. I think, as soon as we get this live video, real-time video AI to a point where it's proactive, where it's telling you rather than waiting to be prompted, that's when they're really going to take off. And you're absolutely right. There's going to be so many to choose from. I still think we're just on the transitional phase here of it's not quite what we need. But yeah, exciting times. I'd really like to hear about the Solo Ergo Visions. If anyone's used them, please get in touch and let us know how you find them. I've heard various, different opinions on these. So if anyone's actually using these now, let us know.
But what are you expecting to get from them? Because to me, it's just ChatGPT and glasses, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But how's that implemented? Is it a fast response? Is it actually, worthwhile? In our case, our use case is going to be for the live video. And it's also going to be take a picture and describe it to me. Maybe a bit of real-time OCR in there, which would come under real-time video. So how quick is that to use? Is it practical? If I'm out and about and, hey, I'm looking for the door, will it tell me where that door is, or will it constantly get it wrong? Is it tuned? Is it prompted? These are all things that we, in our particular case, need to know.
Okay, Dan, thank you for that. Lots of food for thought. If you're not on the Meta Ray-Bans, you've tried something else, then do let us know, as Shaun says. In fact, let's give people the contact details now. So if you want to get involved with the show, here's how.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Now let's go to Elizabeth, who wants us to tone it down a notch.
You folks cover interesting content, and the feedback from listeners brings up good points. We are all glad to be hearing you two have such a good time together, but the back and forth between you sometimes overwhelms the content. This may be particularly so for folks who are having some hearing loss. Please pace the hilarity just a tiny bit if you can. You may come across even better with it toned down just a notch. Putting together a podcast and getting it out as often as you do is a lot of commitment on your part. Thanks for all you do, Elizabeth.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, we will try and tone it down. Sometimes we do get a little bit excitable here at Double Tap. That's Sean's fault because he constantly riles me up.
I was going to say, I don't get excited at all here at Double Tap. It's Stephen's fault. But yes, we will try and... Can we tone it down? I mean, can we even try a promise to try? I don't know we can.
Yeah, let's not even bother. We'll do our best, Elizabeth.
Sorry, Elizabeth.
Well, that lasted all of, 10 seconds? Well done.
Thank you for listening anyway and putting up with our nonsense. We're sorry.
Now, hang on. What's this next one about? It just says biscuits and scones. Is this the one from Robin?
Can I just say, Lord Robin Christopherson sent us this email, and I've had to cut it down quite a lot. This was originally about 6 minutes long.
Oh, come on.
Let's listen.
Okay.
Hey guys, it's Robin here. I feel like I had to come in on the whole cookies versus biscuits debacle debate. So just to agree with the guys that here in the UK, anyway, biscuits are, I think, what you guys in the North America call cookies. The confusion arises, though, that we call some biscuits cookies, specifically, as I think it was Shaun who said, those larger, round, softer ones that might have chocolate chips in, for example, or raisins. Those we call cookies. So those are the only types of biscuits that we think of when you guys say cookies. But I know that Oreos and all those other ones are cookies to you, but they're definitely biscuits to us. Scones, I think it was Stephen who mentioned, that's a bit fraught as well, though, because here in the UK, mostly when you say scones, people think of the sweet ones that you put jam, or should I say jelly, and cream on to have English afternoon tea. So yeah, scones is usually the sweet ones, although you can get savoury scones. Now, because I don't know what biscuits are in America or in Canada, I don't know if our savoury scones are the same. Similarly, when Shaun says dumplings, I've got no idea whether that's what you guys call biscuits over there. This is all very, very confusing. One final thing is that you might often think that here in the UK we are hard done by because technical products, phones, etc., I have to bring it around to technology in the end, are often given the same price of, say, £499 versus $499. And as most people know, a pound is still worth quite a bit more than $1, like $1.20 or something. This is actually a little bit fairer than it would otherwise sound, because here in the UK, every product on the shelf has a price, and that price includes VAT or sales tax. So we have that built in already, because unlike in the States where sales tax, VAT, varies from state to state, here in the UK, sales tax, VAT, is the same right across the UK, so they can automatically put it in the price. So a smartphone for £499, for example, already includes sales tax, VAT. So there you go. One final thing. Was it Shaun or was it Stephen was saying that my keyboard is loud? But guess what? Stephen gave me this keyboard, so blame him. This is Robin signing off. Thanks, guys. And keep up the brilliant double tapping. Love the show.
I think he bought the keyboard. I don't think he realised this. I think he bought that keyboard off me. I don't think I gave it to him. Maybe I did. I can't remember.
I can't see you giving it away for nothing, Stephen Scott.
I'm a very kind gentleman when I want to be.
The incredibly loud Robin keyboard that, you can hear every time he's typing. Yes. Okay. Yeah, very good. The biscuit cookie debate. I can't remember that it was a raging debate on here, but thank you for cleaning that up, Robin. There was about another 5 minutes of discussing Jaffa cakes and going to court about it, which I had to lose because it was too long. But thank you, Robin. Very interesting.
Yes, that's VAT on that one. There you go. Yeah, that did throw me a little bit when I was in the States and in Canada as well, because you would think, oh, that's a great price. And then you would take it to buy it and they'd say, oh, and then it would give you the price, including the sales tax. And you're like, hang on, what? Why does this cost more all of a sudden?
Well, isn't sales tax different depending on what state you're in?
Yeah, but the prices don't show tax. So when you're buying a product...
That's because it would be different. Okay.
So you're seeing this of raw price, if you like, the raw price. And then they add the sales tax on top. So when you get to the till and you think, oh, this is fantastic, great price. And then they add the sales tax and you realise, it's not so great.
Okay, I'm buying nothing when I'm out there then.
Well, I was thinking about getting an iPhone 16e, and I thought, I'll wait till in the States because I'll get it cheaper. And I'm like, well, actually, the time you add it up and you take the sales tax, I'm probably not saving anything.
What's the sales tax in California?
How should I know?
I don't know. Let's look that up. If only there was some sort of way to find that out.
Some kind of tool, something you could talk to that could perhaps give you this information. But since that doesn't exist, we'll move on. Here's Scout.
Good early double Thursday morning, double tappers. Thank you in advance, Laura. In response to the debate that has been brewing since late last year, I have some thoughts for consideration. There is external pressure from the cycling or normie community surrounding our abilities. Even yesterday morning, I ran across an Uber driver who had never encountered one of us and was completely shocked how well I got around, and that I was in the car after placing a bag in her trunk, or boot for those not here in the States. This will always be an issue. We as a community just need to accept this reality. At the same time, we face pressures from within. Are you blind enough? And all of its variants really only mean one thing. Have you struggled as much as I have? We all have vision issues here, whether a total or from birth or a long-term loss from things like RP and Stargardts. The point being, we all have things we cannot see, and yet many of us see people. The same happens in the deafness community, as was pointed out, but the problem is not can you see or hear a little? Have you struggled enough to be one of us? The problem is this. Those without our limitations cannot fathom what it is to deal with our struggles. Canes, dogs, hearing aids, tremors, wheelchairs and the like. Have we forgotten it takes all of us to ensure our civil rights as the disabled populace in any country? Are we not divided enough over politics, religion, ethnicity, and so much more? Petty things, really, if you go big enough. How many of our wider disability community are unemployed, or at the very least underestimated? I'm not saying let's all join hands and get along, but are we not bigger than our level of disability? Do we not want and deserve to be seen as people first? Those who are new to our ranks more need and want to be validated as being a whole person still, to be seen and heard and valued. Those of us who are old pros at this life just want an equal shot at what we perceive the rest of humanity to have. We want that sense of normalcy and stability in our toils to live life and provide for ourselves and our families. Instead of saying, well, you're not blank enough, let's try saying, what do you need to help you reach your dreams and goals? We need to quit letting those without disabilities tell us what we are worth or what we can't do, whether that be quietly or going all Braveheart on them, meaning to demand our freedom from oppression and being seen as less. The reason our community tends to turn those away who get things like cochlear implants or Neuralink is that we then feel we are not enough for those that did, as though there is something wrong with us. Here is the secret. There is nothing wrong with living either life, because no one of us can define how much of a disability what is and is not trauma for another person. Honestly, I'd rather lose members from our ranks due to major advances in technology than to murder, abuse, and far worse. I apologise for the ramble, but I've been sitting on this for a while and we need help and healing from our members, not being a bucket of crabs with no lid.
Wow. Well, I don't know how to continue with that one, because honestly, I agree with everything you say. I mean, what you say there, Scout, is something that I've been saying for such a long time. You put it far more eloquently than I could.
I think that's just a mic drop. I don't think it needs any comment. That was fantastic. Thank you, Scout.
Wonderful. If you've got views on all this, you're welcome to get in touch, of course, in all the usual ways. And remember, doubletaponair.com/contact is how you can find out how to get involved with the show. Sharon's been in touch. The headline here is, even the GPs don't get it.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun. I was listening to your Friday 17th of January podcast. It was your experience of doctor surgeries that caught my attention. I rarely go to my GP surgery, but I did last year. I checked in with the receptionist and sat down and quickly realised they had changed the system when people were being buzzed by the doctors. I went up to the receptionist and explained. Being partially sighted, I could not see when it would be my turn. She stated, like Shaun, that I will tell the doctor to come out and get you. The GP did this and kindly offered me her arm, and all was fine. At least they didn't forget me. But it is still shocking the lack of understanding by medical practices what visually impaired means. I do not think even if you had a dozen guide dogs or carried 10 white canes that they would still get it, as some people never will. What needs to be done when new systems are put in place is they consider everybody's needs. Again, no common sense. I'm glad it's not just me who has an experience like yourselves, as it can make you sensitive. But by sharing our experiences, and at the end of the day, we can see the funny side, as you did make me giggle the way you told it. Take care of yourselves. Kind regards, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, I mean, look, we go through this on a daily basis, don't we? We're so used to it to some degree, or at least we're used to the experience of it. I think every day we feel differently and react differently. You know, my reaction to something will be very different one day to the next, just because of how I'm feeling, or I'm trying to get somewhere, or I'm trying to do something. You know, I get in a taxi, it's always a taxi. I get in a taxi, I'm going somewhere, and the driver wants to ask 1,000 questions about blindness and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes you're just like, I just want to make a call, and I just want to do something else. I just want to have a conversation about life in general. And it's like people just put you in this box of, well, you're not going to be interested in any of this, so we'll just talk about your thing. And
I think people do have a genuine curiosity when it comes to disability.
No, and I think that's fine.
It can be a bit inappropriate how they broach it, but
I think the problem though is when you know, again, some days I'm okay with that, and other days I'm just, I can't deal with it. I just can't be bothered with it.
It's got a lot to do with the other person's approach as well. Like a GP receptionist, they can be, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't even think about that, or I didn't know, or whatever it may be, and can be perfectly pleasant. But at the same time, you can get almost dismissive, like it's almost your own fault that you can't read the screen. And they, in that case, I'm sorry that I'm going to get a little bit more shouty at that point. But everyone has the same experience. You're absolutely right.
I think, it kind of ties into what Scout was saying as well. You know, I think we've got a problem where a lot of people nowadays, especially younger people who are blind, who are kind of in the advocate side of things, and I see a lot of it online, they almost don't know how to deal with these issues. So they immediately start shouting and screaming. You know, I think sometimes we put it on ourselves. We walk into, a restaurant with a guide dog. We have a body cam on in the form of a GoPro or something that's recording, or an iPhone that's recording.
Don't start again. I think that's absolutely right. Well done.
I don't. I think because, immediately you're going to get the backup of whoever you're trying to talk to. And I don't see the value in that. I don't see the point. Now, I know people will say, and there are people who've had these experiences hundreds of times, or say they've had these experiences hundreds of times, and that's fine. But then I think to myself, okay, but what's your reaction to this? And how is your reaction influencing what's actually happening in these situations? Because I've seen a lot of these interactions. I've seen some of these people who go into restaurants, for example, and it seems like they're ready. They're a coiled spring.
Of course they're ready, because they encounter it all the time.
Yes,
of course they should be. And sometimes they burst into tears, even though they're recording. It's proof. Hey, you're breaking the law. Sometimes people will only change.
Proof of
them breaking the law.
Proof of them breaking down on camera. And as far as the person they're talking to is concerned, completely overreacting over what that person feels is something that's wrong that they're doing. They're bringing a dog in that they shouldn't have in the shop. Instead of having a serious conversation or a gentle conversation with the person saying, look, this is actually something that's allowed. It is law.
That is always the first thing said. Sorry, you can't bring that dog in here. Hey, do you know it's law that I can? It's a service animal. I'm allowed to bring my dog in here. That's always the first thing. Now, how that's said could be a little bit,
that's the other
as
thing,
you just mentioned.
It's the way that it's often presented, and you can feel that sort of sense of that person was waiting for it. They're waiting for it. There's a boom, off they go. And it's just like, come on, guys. And look, do you know what? If a restaurant really doesn't want me to be in there, I ain't going in. I'm sorry. I'm not going to stand there and fight my corner so that I can have a hamburger in some place. I'll go somewhere else for the hamburger. I'll go somewhere that they actually want to serve me. They want to take my money.
But still report them, because the next person that maybe does want to go in, they'll think, oh, okay, so no, that other person didn't say anything, so what I'm saying is absolutely correct, when it isn't.
I'm not
saying... They are not correct.
Look,
they need to be brought to task.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying for a second that we shouldn't complain or be annoyed or any of that stuff. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is there are some people, and we can all be guilty of it, we go in almost looking for the fight. And that is not good. That's not good. Because actually what that does is it puts us in the back foot before we even walk in the door, and it creates a hostile environment that you're not going to get resolve on. If you go in emotional, you're going to get an emotional response. It's what you put in, it's what you get out. every time.
I will agree going in for a fight. I totally agree with that. But I also think that
I think if you're wearing a body cam walking in there, around your neck, I'm sorry. I think you're spoiling for a fight before you even walk in the door.
No, not necessarily. I think you know from experience the reception that you could get in certain situations, and you're ready to record that for reporting them.
Well, we shall agree to disagree on that one.
All right.
Yeah.
Will we?
Yeah, we will.
All right, then.
No, I think, as well as anything else, I've got to think about my own mental health and my own mind, okay? I cannot get frustrated every single time someone refuses a taxi or kicks me out of a restaurant. And I don't have a guide dog, so I generally don't have these issues, right? And that's partly why I don't have a guide dog. So that's me taking care of myself in that moment. Would I like a guide dog? Of course I would. Would I benefit from a guide dog? Absolutely. I'd love it. But I hear all these stories and I think, well, do you know what? It's not worth it for me. It's not worth it to get all worked up over that.
Fight the power. Come on, brother. What's the matter with you?
What? Walking into the local...
By going, yes, stand your ground. Actually, you're wrong. I can come in here. It's my right to come in here. What are you talking about? Yes, fight them on it.
So I have just to fight every day for the rest of my life?
Not every day, because it doesn't happen all the time. But for those cases where it does happen...
And does that make me a bad blind person if I don't do that?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Excellent. Then I'm a bad blind person and I don't care.
Oh,
because guess what? I'm an individual.
Well, you're a bad individual. That's what you are.
I know I am, and I don't care. I don't care.
What do you think? Feedback at doubletaponair.com. Is Stephen bad?
I'm trying to remember what it was. I was listening to something a while back, and it was something to do with. I can't remember exactly what it was, but basically it was when you encounter a situation, the response that you give will determine the outcome.
I totally agree with you.
And that's a big part of this. And I'm sorry, this sense of, we just go in and we start shouting the odds, it's not always appropriate. I think a good conversation can start. I think I have been in...
I agree.
I have been in these situations with other people, and I have been on both sides of, well, here's the situation. Actually, you can bring the dog in. It is law, and that's okay. And the one thing I've often done is turn around to other tables and say, does anyone mind this dog being here? And the reaction is always not at all. And oftentimes that usually invites people to say, that you can bring a dog in here, right? That's okay. And that's the problem resolved.
Yeah, I totally agree. De-escalation is always the most prudent route.
And that's coming from me. Better. I like to shout, right? But, there's a limit to that.
Can I just say, going back to the sunglasses are a symbol of blindness and the GP, I'm bringing them all together here. I was sat in the doctor's office and the doctor came in and said, well, you can feel your toes and your eyesight is fine, so your diabetes seems to be under control. And at that point, I only had my sunglasses on and he didn't see my folded up white stick that I was holding down by my lap.
So Negative Julian was right, is what you're saying.
Negative Julian was right. Yes, sunglasses themselves are not a symbol of blindness, but the white stick was part of the kit.
We got one more from Renee before we go.
Good morning, Stephen and Shaun. This is Renee from Kentucky. This is Saturday morning, and I'm listening to the Friday morning podcast. Keep up the great work. It's so much fun. The sound effects, the Cookie Monster, the dog, everything, Mr. F. Keep up the sound effects. We love that. And you all do such a great job on bringing information to us about things for the blind, because you can tell in your all's voices that that's what you all enjoy, is bringing up new devices, telling us about new devices for us. So keep up the great work, and I'll keep listening. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Cookie! Stop. I hate Cookie Monster. Stop that. Bye-bye. Tone it down, will you?
How can you hate the Cookie Monster? That makes no sense at all.
Because it's just so abrupt and so loud. It's terrible. Thank you, Renee. Really appreciate it. Don't start him off, though.
Yeah. Well, look, don't walk away, Renee.
You've been thinking about
I don't know where I'm going to go with it. I just wanted to say it. I don't know what I was going to go there next with, but there we go. Don't walk away, Renee, because we are here on Monday again with another show. That was pretty terrible, wasn't it? But anyway, there you go. Yes, there you go. What an amazing hour of emails. As always, thank you so much for all those messages. And of course, we have plenty more to get through. We're going to get into those next week. Also, a great conversation coming up on Monday. You know, we've heard a lot about DEI in the news, of course, following a certain US president who's basically said, you know, as far as the federal government's concerned, that doesn't exist anymore. And this is having some major, you know, impacts around the world. And you know, in terms of accessibility, there's a big conversation to be had. And someone who works for the US government has written a very interesting article about this. He's going to be joining us on Monday to talk about his take on this, the missing letter in the whole DEI debate, and that is the letter A for accessibility. How does it fit into this narrative? How does it work its way into this conversation? And what impact does it have on what's been going on? Well, we're going to be getting into all that with Brian DeConnick, who has written this amazing article, The Politics of Accessibility. We're going to get into that on Monday's show. So, check it out. And have a great weekend. Bye, Shaun.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.